One of the aims and accomplishments of the method is to liberate us from self-identification with the emotional level. It takes us to the point where we do not have to react emotionally to anything. And we discover that when we don't react emotionally, we are free to follow higher intuitive guidance and experience the higher states of peace and harmony and safety and love and joy. Now, going beyond identification with the emotional level does not mean you suppress emotions, conceal them, and stuff them. Not at all. It means you are liberated from the need to react emotionally and thus save yourself tons of energy, tons of pain, and tons of problems caused by emotional reactions, which are basically blind thrusts of force into our body, into our mind, into our relationships, into our circumstances. It's like driving a car blindfolded. We become identified with our emotions in the first 6 years of our lives. That's when we become indoctrinated with emotional patterns and with the belief that we are the emotion, that you don't have a choice but to feel fear when you feel fear, or anger when you feel anger, or sorrow when you feel sorrow. And we go from that point of indoctrination into a place of reinforcement. And then we continue to act out in daily life our emotional states. We are run by emotions. Our feelings are run by emotions. Our thoughts are run by emotions. Our actions are run by emotions. Our speech are run by emotions. And the more emotion, the more commotion, the more drain, the more conflict, the more confusion, the more chaos in our lives. Then we think, okay, I'll just master my emotion and I'll suppress it. I'll hold it inside. I'll count to 10. And while that may appear to work for a little while, sooner or later it leads to a crack up because you simply cannot contain the buildup of all that emotional pressure that you've been stuffing. Then we get to liberation. And liberation gives us the opportunity to cathartically release those emotional states that we have been suppressing and also liberate ourselves from those states as well as the states that we have been expressing. And that's where the method comes in. The first step of the method is, of course, to feel your feelings fully and to experience all the pain of that. Then the steps that follow lead us step by step into releasing the energy and the identification we have with that emotional state. When we've done the method sufficiently, and it could take years for this to happen, but when you've done the method sufficiently, you find yourself at a new emotional level. Now, all kinds of wonderful things happen before that takes place. The joy that's released, the understanding of how to live in joy and why to live in joy and how joy works, and how to use your consciousness to manifest what you want and to stop manifesting what you don't want. But this one particular point arrives when you're no longer identified with your emotions. You can go through any situation, any event, including extreme physical pain. You can go through any event in life, and you don't have to become emotional in it. You're not suppressing anything. You're just remaining neutral, calm, centered, balanced, and attuned to the higher guiding force of wisdom within you, so that you can respond to the situation in creative ways that lead to greater fulfillment. As long as you're being run by your lower emotion, you cannot recognize and follow a higher guiding influence. A more intelligent, more loving influence can come in to guide you, but not when you're reacting emotionally. When you're run by a lower force, you can't recognize, receive, and follow the higher force. And as you release from the emotions and connect to higher levels of consciousness, you also find that you're experiencing more empowerment. Your presence is more empowered. All that energy that would have gone into your emotion goes into your presence. You're more empowered. So when you go through an episode, like let's say physical pain or emotional pain, and you use the method to stay free of the emotional pain, right? And then you just stay in this unemotional approach to it. Each time you do that, you're gaining in power. That means your consciousness manifests conditions aligned with your heart's desire more quickly, more easily, more abundantly, more expansively. So you don't just rise in consciousness to follow a higher level of intelligence and love that guides you. You also experience more power in those higher states, and that power of love and intelligence emanating from you, it touches people in positive ways and lifts them up. It helps them have a better life, even if they don't even know that you're there, just by the influence of your radiance, the radiance that you carry. Now, this is all symbolized by Tarot Key 8 in the BOTA deck, the card of strength. The red lion represents those emotional reactions. And what happens is you liberate the power from those emotional reactions. You allow that power to go to a higher level. You're not suppressing, you're liberating the power in those emotional reactions, and it goes to a higher level. It empowers your love, it empowers your intelligence, it empowers your presence. And ultimately, you find there's no limit to how much power can be liberated. That's what's represented by the figure 8 above the woman's head in card 8 of that tarot deck. It represents the infinite potentiality of this process. This is an alchemical process, a process of transmutation, taking power from a lower level to a higher level. And the more you practice being unemotional, centered, balanced, and tuned in to your intuitive guidance in the present moment, the stronger you get. Not just the stronger you get at the practice, but the stronger you get as a being. You become more powerful.